Good evening and welcome to Turkey Foot Middle School. This is the parent information session on social media, so welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. I'm Terry Cox-Cruey, the superintendent, and I just want to thank you for being here and being part of this collaborative effort to help us communicate this important information about social media. This summer, our team reflected on a communication plan that we could use with students and staff and parents and community members. And so we started working and talking about what do parents need to know or want to know, and when do they want to know when we are dealing with social media in the school. So it's not just, we used to send a message home just for inclement weather. It's not just about the weather now. There are other times where there are potential safety concerns that we want to alert you. So local media members and law enforcement agencies got together and we all shared our thoughts on some challenges that we face now dealing with this issue of social media, things that previously weren't a problem for us with students because students at young ages didn't typically have social media at their fingertips like they do today. So we do have a couple of our police officers with us this evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. Please help me join in applause to thank those members of law enforcement that are here. They work really hard to make sure our schools and our communities are safe, and we're most appreciative of that. And we're also appreciative that they gave some time this summer to really help us figure out how to better inform our public. This evening, you will be hearing from two district staff members. They're going to lead the session tonight. Jess Dykes is the Director of Public Information and Community Engagement, and Tara Sides is the Director of Reducing Barriers to Learning for our school district. And they have a pleasant presentation that really hits all ages and grade levels. So we're going to tape the presentation tonight in case you know people who might be interested in this information but they weren't able to attend tonight. We will have that link to our website. And then we have materials that you picked up as you came in. You are welcome to duplicate those as well if anyone's interested in that. We also will have 3 more sessions this week. So if you know a friend that couldn't make it tonight, they can visit one of our other schools later this week if they would like to hear the presentation for themselves. Again, I want to thank Turkey Foot, their team, Deb Obermeyer and her group. They got the building ready for us tonight for this event. So thank you very much for that. Thank you all for coming. We would love to hear your feedback. We really value input from all of our stakeholders. And without further ado, we're going to begin our presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Cox-Cruey. All right, we want to be efficient with your time tonight. I know it's a school night. Everybody's got kids. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old myself, so that go to school in the Kenton County School District. So I could easily be an audience member. And again, when we were having this dialogue this summer, we really reflected on how we could come together as a community to have these types of dialogues with our children. So we're that generation that we did not grow up using a cell phone, and now our kids are born and they've always had a cell phone. So there's a learning curve for us. This also impacts education because although technology is fantastic in helping get that information out to all of our students, there are also drawbacks when they put things on social media that shouldn't be on social media. So we connect with friends and family online. We share what we're doing and where we are. I know on Facebook this week it was like National Dog Week, so I saw tons of pictures of all my friends' dogs on Facebook this week. So, you know, it's a way to connect with people, sharing photos and videos. Our kids are building online profiles and reputations, sometimes at very young ages. So I know I talked with some of you guys that walked in. You said you had children in middle school and high school, but these conversations should be had starting at 2nd grade now. That's what our research is telling us. So some of the risks that we're looking at, all the great things that we put online, there can be inappropriate conduct, there can be inappropriate contact, and inappropriate content. I have several friends, their children play games, and through those game websites, people are contacting their kids that they don't know who they're playing those games with. That can be very dangerous. It can be harmless. I used to teach at Simon Kenton High School, and the Independence Police Department came out and did a presentation, and they put up a picture of a really pretty young lady, and they asked all the 17 and 18-year-old guys in the audience, would you share your personal information if she said she'd like to go out on a date? And they all raised their hands. And the police showed them who it really was. So it taught those high school students that there's inappropriate contact. Not everything that you see on the internet is true. And so these are the types of conversations that we have to start having with our kids. All right, we're going to cover a variety of topics in tonight's presentation. I know we're throwing a lot of information at you. At the end, we will have a question-answer session, and of course, we'll provide our contact information to make sure if we glossed over anything too quickly for you that you could then contact us and ask more questions about it. But we got this resource from the FTC. I spoke with Sycamore School District PR person, and they use NetCetera as a resource and a tool throughout the state of Ohio as well. So we wanted to show you this video. This video is having dialogues with your kids, and this covers cyberbullying.
The internet. It offers enormous opportunities to communicate. Most of us, including kids, do all kinds of things online. We connect through email, text, and instant messaging. We post and distribute pictures and videos. We may have profiles on social networks where we share our lives, our plans, and our thoughts with hundreds of people. These ways of communicating and socializing can be convenient and fun, yet they come with certain risks. Many parents wonder, how should I talk to my kids about being safe online? A booklet called NetCetera provides some practical tips. It's based on the idea that the first step to protecting kids online is more about talking than technology. When kids want important information, they turn to their parents. So talk to them about your values, honesty, fairness, courtesy, or whatever values are most important in your family, and how they apply in an online setting. By communicating your values and expectations, you'll help your kids make smarter, more thoughtful decisions when they face tricky situations online. Here are some things to talk about. Social networking sites, chat rooms, and blogs are some ways kids socialize online. They can help kids connect with friends, but it's important to help your children learn how to navigate these spaces safely. Among the pitfalls, sharing too much information and posting pictures or video that can hurt someone's feelings or damage a reputation. Talk to your kids about applying good judgment to help minimize those pitfalls. Most mobile phones have cameras and can shoot video, making it easy for teens to capture and share every moment on the go. Encourage kids to think about their privacy and that of others before they share photos and videos. Cyberbullying is bullying that happens online, and it's a lose-lose proposition. It makes the person being harassed feel bad, and it makes the bully look bad. Talk to your kids about treating others with respect, and let them know they can talk to you if someone harasses them. If that happens, encourage your kids to block the bully if they can, and ignore him or her if they can't. That's because bullies are looking for a reaction. If it continues, ask your kids to save the evidence and share it with you or another adult they trust. Mean behavior usually stops pretty quickly when someone speaks up. Encourage your kids to stand up for themselves and to stand up for someone else being cyberbullied. And talk to your kids about treating others online the same way they want to be treated. Here are some other tips to keep in mind. Start early. Young kids see their parents using smartphones and computers. So as soon as your kids use one themselves, it's time to talk to them about safety. Initiate conversations. Don't wait for kids to come to you. Use everyday chances to talk with them. News stories about cyberbullying, a storyline on TV, both can be the start of a good conversation. Be patient. Most kids need small bits of information, repeated often for it to really sink in. Keep talking. Chances are it'll pay off. Read NetCetera for more information about chatting with your kids about being safe online. It's free, and you'll find it at onguardonline.gov.
It sounds really easy to just start those conversations with your children, but in reality, we know that it's not. It's unfamiliar territory because, again, sometimes we don't know what we're looking for. We don't know what all of the texting lingo might be. I'm pretty proficient with Twitter and Facebook, but not Instagram and Snapchat. So that's why we wanted to have this tonight. And I'm friends with Tony Morones. He's a reporter for WCPO, and we got his permission to use this post tonight. We wanted to share it with you. We thought it was pretty important. It reads, "To all my kids' friends, please understand, while your parents may or may not care how you present yourself on social media, I do. What that means is this. I question my boys. We actually talk about the day's events, and that includes Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, etc. You need to know that this adult isn't kidding around. I browse my kids' social media, and if I see anything questionable, I'll talk to him and then talk to your parents. I know you don't think I'm very chill, and you're right. Instead, I'm a parent. See you online or in person." So he actually put that out there. It is a social media campaign. Channel 9 was one of the 4 stations that participated with us this summer and were instrumental in us having the classes this fall. So we have included some tips on the different colored worksheets that we passed out. You know, you might see grades K through 5, grades 6 through 8, grades 9 through 12. We wanted to tailor this because obviously the conversations that you would have with a middle school student would not be the conversation that you would have with a second grader. So some of the things that they talk about for young children is close hands-on supervision. Make sure you know that these kids, they know how to go right into those app stores and buy different apps, the free apps. They know how to get on YouTube, and they might be looking for videos. I know my son is 8 and was searching the internet for Titanic videos and saw a clip from the movie when I wasn't paying attention that I wasn't really prepared to answer the questions on. So that close hands-on supervision. Parental controls. And so after that incident, I had to go back and look at putting controls on our iPads. Remember, if you put controls on your computer, that doesn't include your phones. So make sure if you have young age children that you're utilizing those parental controls. In the information that we gave you, most of your cell phone providers will have those types of options for you if you're looking for more information to get on that. As your kids get older, obviously guided exploration, you're going to want to set limits. Setting limits in the amount of time that they spend on their phone or their iPad or their computer. I know that it's an easier transition if I tell my son that you've got an hour and a half before you have to do this, or whatever the time limits as the age development suggests. That's what you should do, is set those limits. So obviously supervision of teens, they're more independent, and the important messages are that the information on there would be credible, and once it's posted, you can't take it back. I operate the Twitter account for the school district along with my other communication team members. And when snow days occur or don't occur, we get a lot of feedback from high school kids that are pretty upset. And they will tweet back at us and they'll use curse words. And so I'll often go visit with these students because I was a teacher in the district, and it's not to get the kids in trouble, it's to create a learning experience for them, because they don't realize that they're tweeting back at somebody that's watching them. They think it's a robot. They think it's a site that they can get away with. And so I often tell them, you know, my brother didn't get a job because of something that he posted online. You've now got your colleges and jobs, your careers. People are checking out your social media websites because they have access to that information. So it's a learning opportunity for students when these types of situations occur, but you can't take it back. So socializing is socializing online or off. So you just have to remind our kids that the online actions have real world consequences. Tell your children to trust their gut if they're suspicious. Help children understand what information should stay private. You obviously, when they start up these Facebook accounts, and I know Tara Sides is going to talk more about this, if you're a diligent parent in looking at your students' social media accounts, oftentimes to get around you, they'll create 2 accounts. A Facebook account that you monitor, and then one that you won't under another name. So we have to understand, you know, let our kids know at a very early age why it's important to not put all of your information online. Develop cell phone rules, when and where they can't use their phones. Set an example by what you do. Schools support school policies. And all of our schools could be different based on what our site-based councils decide. So if you're comparing from one school to another. But then expect manners on cell phones. Treat people the way they would like to be treated. A lot of times when you're online, it's easier to post those hurtful things because you're not actually talking to a person. And so it's easier to just put that information out there, and then you can't take it back. Thinking about privacy and safety. Password protect phones. Talk to your children about not giving that password out to their friends. That's very important, because if it is their phone and one of their friends uses that phone to post something on their account, that's why it's important not to give out that information. But as the parents, you need to have access to that password as well. Photo and video sharing on the go. Think before you post. Parental controls are available through most cell phone carriers, and then filters on home computers, we talked about that, they don't apply on phones. So a lot of parents think that their kids are not going to want their parents to set those controls, and in fact, surveys show that 90% of our kids do think it's okay to have those types of controls. And so some of the worksheets that we gave you guys, they're different colors and coded. It's what these are, and I'm not going to read through them verbatim, but there's a purple one for K through 5, there's a blue one for 6 through 8, and a yellow for 9 through 12. And these are family media agreements, because again, it's very easy to read in this booklet that says you should have a conversation with your kid, but it's like, where do we begin? Where do we start? And so these sheets give simple tips for where you can begin at an age-appropriate level. And then you have them sign this contract so that you've had this conversation with them early. And I would even say early and often. Revisit this to make sure, because, when we're on vacation for 2 weeks, that's where kids are gonna, be on their phones a lot more if it's winter break or summer break, because that's how they're socializing with their friends. Just make sure that at different times you're revisiting these subjects early and often. But it's talking about staying safe, think first, stay balanced, and in exchange, my family agrees to. So what's great about these contracts is it's a give and take, and that you both sign. And some of these are front and back. This pink worksheet is the customizable device contract. It talks about things to keep in mind, when and where and how long, checking in, your privacy settings, your care and maintenance, communicating responsibly online, and then your contract on the back. So these are some good tips for you to be able to start these types of conversations with your children. And at this point, I'm going to have the director of Reducing Barriers to Learning, Tara Sides, come up. And she's got a lot more information that's going to dig deep into the websites and the ways kids hide that information.
Okay, y'all, I get to talk about how to keep your kids safe online. One of the big things are on computers, that looking at restrictions, that how many of y'all know that you can change the restrictions on like your Google Chrome browser setting? And that's really important. Perfect, that's really important. And it's good for you to know if your child is looking at it in private mode. Because if they're looking at it in private mode, you can't go back and check their browser history. So being aware of little things like that so you know what your child is searching for. It's also called incognito. And it's recommended that you have a computer, that you keep it in a public place, somewhere where everybody can see it. And when it's in a private mode, it'll say private in the corner if they're browsing in private, or it'll have like a little man, if you're using Google Chrome, that hangs over the top. And this is just important so you can just stay in touch with what your child is looking at online and making sure it's appropriate. It's also good to regularly review apps that your child is installing online on their phone and monitor who they're communicating with. This is a great way to start a conversation with your child with, hey, who's Evan? I don't recognize that name. What's he texting you for? What's Jill? What's she asking about? This is just a good way to stay on top of what your child is doing and to ask those questions about who they're communicating with. The best thing you can do for your child is give them an out. So if they get message that they feel is not appropriate, and they can say, oh my gosh, my mom reads all my text messages. We can't be talking about this. That's just a good way to let your child save face, and to keep them walking the path that you want them to walk through. And also you're able to monitor them. Make sure you're monitoring those websites and the social media apps, and we're going to talk specifically about some of those social media apps that you may not be as familiar with. And don't assume that you've got this home router that your child can even use their phone as a hotspot and get around that, and then there's no way for you to be monitoring their browsing history. And then physically review the devices your family has and know what apps they are and what they're being used for, and ask those questions of your child. Why are you using this app? How's it benefiting you? How are you using it to communicate? So these are just some of the facts about social media. Tweens and teenagers report that they spend more than 7 hours a day connected to a digital device. So just think about that. And probably even more during the summer, when you think about kids who are texting and they're posting and they're reading things online, and even you as your adult life, how much time you spend online with checking email and even through work. So this is a tremendous amount of time that our kids are living online. And then more than 70% of teens in an LA Times survey reported they have tricks to deceive their parents about online behavior. Particularly as they get older, if children want to find a way to deceive you, they're going to find a way to do it. But if you know some of these tips and tricks, then you can be a little bit more proactive with them. And then 3 out of 5 teenagers in a Colorado study admitted to having more than one Facebook account. I know from my experience as a middle school principal and a high school administrator, I think it's probably more than 3 out of 5, that tons of students that I worked with would have. This is my safe account. My parents are friends, adults are friends on this one. Then I have this other account, and that's where new people that they won't be questioned about by their parents, and they would post other things on it. So it's just really important to stay on top of your child and their social media. So 9 out of 10 teenagers use social media. I can't think of a teenager that I know that does not have some type of Facebook account or Twitter account or Instagram. And Instagram is really the number one that teenagers are using. Twitter's second, and Facebook's third. But Twitter is probably overtaking Instagram now, that kids are constantly posting on Twitter and doing things on Twitter. Instagram is really popular because it's easy to upload pictures, it's easy to use filters on pictures, and it's easy to, with hashtags, which is the same thing you do on Twitter. You don't see as much of that on Facebook, and a lot of teenagers are like, well, my parents are on Facebook, I don't want to use Facebook, and so they tend to use Instagram more. Instagram lets users share their photos and like and comment on their friends' things, very similar to Facebook, but from my experience, more teenagers have public Instagram accounts where they'll have a private Facebook account. So with a public account, anybody can see it, and they can search those hashtags, and that's one of the big differences I see when working with students is Instagram, Twitter tend to not have the privacy settings that you find on a Facebook. It's also used a lot with a competition for likes, that the more filters you use. I was looking, my niece has a Instagram page. She has over 200 likes on a picture that she just posted of a sunset. And she has the same picture on Facebook. She maybe had 15 because she has much more protected Facebook and not as many friends, and anybody could search her on her Instagram profile. So one of the ways that Instagram can really be harmful is it can impact self-esteem by the way it's used. What girls in particular will do is they'll post a picture of themselves and then ask, rate me. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate me. And you'll see a lot of TBH, which means to be honest. To be honest, I think you have a big nose. Or to be honest, I think you're beautiful. Or to be honest, and just think about what that does to self-esteem. But it's the seeking of approval in the social media world that we live in. And we see a lot of that. If you do any type of search on Instagram, you'll see a lot of, particularly girls, teenage girls, asking for feedback on their appearance. And it goes back to what they see in the media with celebrities who have been created through social media. Online harassment occurs a lot through Instagram, any social media, but particularly at the middle and high school, we see Instagram. It can happen through exclusion. It's really easy to create a fake profile about someone and post things in their name. So you'll see that. And then you can easily share a location on Instagram. If you have this public profile, you post a picture, it's not hard for somebody to figure out where you are and where that picture was taken, which makes it extra scary. And I think parents, in particular, use Facebook themselves, so you're familiar with the privacy settings, but with Instagram, not so much. And so I think that's why teens are really gravitating toward it, because it's easier for them to have public profiles and gain more followers. Because you're not going to become an Instagram celebrity if you only have 100 followers and they're all your friends. The idea is to get these followers from all over so you can build this status and build this online reputation. So the 9 most dangerous apps, and we're going to talk about each of these, are Whisper, Yik Yak, Vine, Omegle, Tinder, App Hiders, Kik, and Snapchat. So Whisper and Yik Yak are basically like online bulletin boards. They're completely anonymous. Like you can post, I feel like killing myself, or I hate my school. And they'll even, with Whisper, it's just random people posting things. With Yik Yak, it's location-based. So, like if we pulled up Yik Yak right now, we would pull up Turkey Foot Middle School, and it would be things that students or adults or whoever in this vicinity have posted specifically about Turkey Foot Middle School, which makes it really scary because it's all anonymous, and anything that you post on that is anonymous. So, it's used a lot at college campuses, but that makes it really scary because not only is this anonymous secret sharing, but they can also message anonymously. So you could send a message to someone and they would never know who you are. And then when you look at Whisper in particular, it pulls up, like it'll pull up Cincinnati, and it would show you all the posts, anonymous posts from that area. And it's just what's scary is that here you have a kid who's probably making a cry for help, and they're able to post it anonymously and no one can follow up with it. But it's just a way to interact. Kik is basically just a text messaging service that it's untraceable. It's completely anonymous. If your child has Kik and they've got it hidden on their phone, the only way you would know they had it is if you downloaded it yourself and their contact number showed up, that they had it set where you could see their contact number. And they would show up as someone, you know how when you do your iPhone and everybody that you're friends with shows up in your iPhone? Kik populates like that too. So that's a way that you could see if your child is using that text messaging service. It's all completely, you can share videos, you can share phone numbers. anybody can use it, which makes it scary. It's because a lot of times kids will post their picture, and so if you're a really attractive girl, then you'll have guys who are texting you through that. Personal experience that's a way that my niece is monitored online. Her cell phone is monitored, all her text messages, they read, if she deletes, it goes to the cloud. She's got Kik, and that was one way that she was kind of getting around, so she felt like she could have some more privacy. So, and it's just text messaging. Snapchat is where you can just post pictures or videos. It also has messaging, but once again, it's something that is it can be anonymous. Supposedly it disappears, but you can take screenshots of it. It's just a way of kids to instantly share what's going on. Snapchat can, I guess, be fun, but it's been used, or it's easily used for inappropriate means. It's also, everything's unlimited. It's unlimited videos, unlimited is free. You can share it, which it's free. All of these apps are free. Vine is just a video app where you just upload videos. And once again, it's anonymous sharing with people. You don't have to have friends. You can have a public profile, and you can just share whatever. You can take a picture. What makes it really scary is kids don't realize that they're showing things that make them easily identifiable, where a predator or someone who wants to do them harm could easily track them down with identifying factors and things like that. So that's what makes these things that are really anonymous even scarier. Chat roulette, Omegle, and Tinder. Chat roulette, most computers now automatically have a webcam. Phones have a webcam. Basically with chat roulette, you set up an account and you turn your webcam on, and it works like a roulette wheel, and it just stops. And you see somebody else's webcam, they see yours. You can communicate with them, or you could just spin the wheel again until you get someone else. So it's a way to just connect with strangers who are doing who knows what. Omegle is very similar. You're video chatting with strangers. And then Tinder is a dating app, and you think, gosh, teenagers, high school students aren't really using Tinder. Well, they are. You're supposed to be 18, but they set up fake profiles, and then that's another way. It's got messaging built into it, and they can post pictures of themselves, post their location, and it's a way to meet strangers. So it's just something to really be aware of and to talk to your kids about. And especially chat roulette, with just, because you do have this video camera, and that anybody can see. They can see your room, and with what other people are doing if you think of someone who doesn't necessarily have the best intentions. And that's what your daughter or son is seeing on a video camera, on a private webcam. So it's kind of scary. And then app hiders. So you're diligent and you're checking your child's phone, and they've got a calculator, and you use the calculator and it works just fine. Your kid takes it, they put in a password, and then all of a sudden, here's their Kik app, here's their secret messaging app, here's pictures they don't want you to see, here's all these other things. So that's just a way that kids are able to hide social media from their parents or through these app hiders. They're free. A couple that are mentioned are Spy Calculator, Cover Me, Secret Calculator, My Photo Album, Lock Folder, and Safe Album. And if you're looking at this on their phone, it just looks like a regular app to you. Students will also make folders. It's really easy to make a folder on the iPhone. And so they'll make a folder and label it homework, and then have different apps but hide things behind it. You know, the more you flick on an iPhone, you can still continue to have things. So there's just a lot of ways that they can hide what they're doing online from their parents. But the more that you're aware of it. One of the handouts, the orange handout that we're giving you, or that you picked up when you came in, are ways kids hide apps. And I didn't even know this, that the Android automatically is built in with ways to hide apps and how to hide what you're doing. It talks about how you can hide apps on the iPhone just so you're aware and so you can look. But there's just some really good tips on here. Some of the solutions are just iPhone, any Apple product has settings that you can disable. You can require your child to have a password to download anything, and that way you're able to see everything that they download. So if you're aware of that password and you're checking that history, so you know what kind of apps that they're getting. Just the approval of things that they're downloading is really important, so you know and you're aware. And then this also gets into how to set up passwords if you don't already have that. And then it's always recommended, if there's an app that you're not familiar with, that your child's asking about, to just Google it. You can Google anything and it'll give you great information about what that app is for and its purpose and how it's being used. And then, so it's just really important to remember your child's safety is more important than their privacy. And I think kids forget that they aren't thinking and they post something, and so you're not being nosy, you're protecting them. And then you're giving them an out, like we talked about earlier. You're giving them an out if they're asked to do something inappropriate. Mom checks my phone all the time. No, I can't do that. Having a common charging area so you can easily check phones. That way, once again, my niece was texting somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning because she was charging her phone in her room. And you don't really think about those things, but having that common place. Do not allow phones or computers in the bedroom every night. Establish an end time for online use, especially on school nights. And take time to explain to them why you're asking them questions and checking their phone and their privacy settings, so that they know that you care about them and you want to protect them. This has nothing to do with you're infringing on their privacy. You want to help them. And that many children just don't realize how much information they're putting out there and how dangerous it can be. They see a picture and think, oh my gosh, this guy is so hot, I'm gonna send him a message, and not realize that it's a 70 or 60-year-old man sitting behind their computer with not good intentions. So with being able to protect them. And then also getting familiar with texting lingo, and that is on this gray sheet, or some of the current lingo that are used in text is shorthand, just some things that kids use. So, and also y'all, this pink sheet goes into some just more specific additional tips on safety and ways you can increase safety with working with your child about thinking before I post, because they're leaving a social media imprint, and you want to make sure that the imprint that they're leaving is positive. And then conversation starters for questionable apps on your child's phone. So if you see Yik Yak on your kid's phone, you can say to them, hey, what kind of things do you want to post anonymously? What's going on? And it just gives you some ways to start that conversation with your child. And now we're just asking y'all to spread the word. If you've got any questions or anything that we can answer for you. My guess would be probably not, because they're always coming up with different ways to hide things. That the best thing would be if they're downloading an app that you're not familiar with to they don't hide it at all. So if you're already monitoring that, you're already ahead of the game, and you'll catch something if they're trying to out. I need some of those.